Hello everybody, carrying on from my previous video about communications devices, I want to move on to something called the M5 card phone, which is advertised as being one of the world's smallest phones and small enough to fit inside your wallet, and also says it's the same size as a credit card. So let's have a nosy at it. Here we are. Yep, it is roughly credit card sized, although thickness, it's about half a millimeter, so it's a bit thicker than a credit card, but it definitely feels this way, credit card sized. Comes with rather funky looking, but too short to be useful in any way kind of USB lead. Seems a lot of the stuff that comes from the Far East is coming with shorter and shorter USB leads. Obviously it saves a few pennies here and there. So just have a quick check of that claim that it would fit in your wallet. Here's my old wallet. So, yes it does. Although it is a bit bulky. It's a bit like having several more credit cards in your wallet than you need. So, but yeah, I suppose it's something you could carry out with you if you needed to. So let's have a switch it on. Let's have actually a look at the physical element of it first. USB port. This seems to be a master power switch, so that's off. And if that's set to off, you can't actually switch the phone on. We're using the power button. Flip this over, and there you go. And there's the SIM card socket, and it uses a micro USB as opposed to a nano or a mini USB. So worth bearing in mind. Now we're in. So build quality, it's not bad. It's not what you expect for the money you pay for it. Which for this case it was $11. So that's about €6 or €7. So not bad at all. Not bad at all. The front panel has got, it's not actual physical buttons, it's this kind of like molded plastic that presses against contacts underneath, so you could peel off the whole front panel as one single piece if you were so designed to do so. So I haven't set the time or date on this, but let's have a nosy at the menu first. So the first one is Phonebook. Have a nosy in there. Yeah, you can see the first problem is that the screen is quite small. Now the first time you get this phone you might think that the screen fills this area here, because there does seem to be a slight change in colour, but the reality is you get this tiny little window which is maybe 2 centimetres by 1 centimetre. Really, really small. Actually my fingernail's bigger. There you go. So Phonebook's fairly standard sort of stuff. Who called you and when you called, the numbers you called. Call center is actually no. That call center is the history and who you've called, whereas Phonebook is, as you would expect, is actually is your phone book of contacts. Messaging is a text message app. Like I say, the screen again is it's so small. Does it make it worthwhile? I'm kind of curious to see what typing method it uses. So if I see THE, nope. So it doesn't have T9. What was I press that? Oh, symbols. I don't know if a long press changes anything. Nope. What does hash do? Changes it to lowercase. TH. What's that? Oh, hold on. I don't recognize that language. What is that? I kind of vaguely... Is that Ethiopian script? Press again. ESFR. Oh yeah, I know what's going on here. So the hash button cycles through the languages the phone is capable of. Go back to English. PT Portugal. ID must be Indonesia. VI Vietnam. SV Sweden. SL Slovakia. I don't know. AR Argentina. 1, 2, 3. Everything. We're back to where we were. Okay. Back. There's the messaging. Multimedia. That's an interesting one. It says FM radio, and if you try and activate it, please plug in earphone. But nowhere on this phone is there an earphone /headphone socket. so I have no idea why there's an FM radio option in the menu. Someone suggested using a USB headset, but I can't find any. My suspicion is that they're using the software from a different phone, and the hardware for FM radio just wasn't installed on this phone. So, but the software doesn't know. Yeah, it's a strange thing, especially since many people on the forums I've been frequenting have said the same thing about this phone. Has an FM radio option in the menu, but nowhere to plug in an antenna, because you use your headphone lead as the antenna. And if you're wondering why, well, most mobile phones operate at 800 megahertz upwards, and that's a very short wavelength. So antennas are quite physically small, and they fit nicely inside a phone. FM operates at 88 to 108 megahertz, which is a much longer wavelength. So the antenna has to be physically longer, and it just so happens that the the headphone lead, well, most headphone leads are the perfect length for FM reception. So there you go, in case you were wondering. Organizer, so you got calendar, alarm, calculator. Have a look at the calculator. Well, that's very obnoxiously green. So 1, 2, 3, plus 1, 2, 3. 2, 4, 6. There you go. So use the R buttons as your operators. I don't know if you're seeing the screen very well here, because it seems to change colour as I move it. So in real life it stays the same, but on screen, on the camera, it does seem to change. But yeah, so the screen's too small to be usable for a lot of this stuff. Settings, okay. Phone settings, what have we got? Time and date. Schedule power on, that's handy actually. The language, preferred input method, I wonder if it has T9. Smart, Thai, Hebrew, S. Ah, so that was Thai, I thought it was Ethiopian. That script I was looking at earlier. So there you go. Display. Screen auto lock. Show date and time. Screen auto lock and show date and time. So we're back to the menu again. Dedicated keys. Up. Shortcuts. Down. Alarm. Oh, this is when you're at the home screen and you press one of the arrow keys. It takes you straight to a function within the phone. Flight mode. Miscellaneous settings. LCD backlight. Ooh, I wonder if I haven't found... So there's 5 options of brightness. I'm going to keep it at 5. Back to the start. Back. Profiles. This is the alarms. Oh, general is selected. So let's see what options we have here. What sounds it gives us. Ringtone 1. Let's see. Change. Not bad. What the f... What is that? That's terrible. Sounds like a low-rent version of Numa Numa. Oh my god, that is terrible. Yeah. That's interesting. 5 ringtones, 2 of them are fairly typical sort of cheap mobile phone ringtones, and then this one which is completely mental. That is weird. What is that song? That is a... Hold on, is it options? These are the message tones. It's kind of like an introduction to a Janet Jackson song. That's pleasant enough. There you go. So you got back to the profiles menu. So you got general, silent, meeting, outdoor. So it's kind of like Nokia in the 90s. With that song, that was the weirdest thing. It's a bit out of place there. Bluetooth, like I say, it's for headsets only, as far as I can tell. I've tried it with a headset, and it sounds okay. I personally would never be seen. I wouldn't be seen dead with a Bluetooth headset. I think I don't know why. I just seem to associate it with estate agents after seeing it was that film The World's End. All I think now is, people think you're an estate agent or a property developer if you walk around with one of those. No offense to anyone who uses them. I'm sure drivers and people like that find them useful. But if you have one clamped to your head 24/7, it does look a little bit weird. So we're back to the start. Phonebook call center. So I'll just give a quick call to this number to see. Oh, 1744. Hands free. Let's see what it says. Come on.
Welcome to 3 Top Up. For queries relating to the number you're calling from, press 1. If it relates to a different number.
Okay. So I think sound quality's grand. So overall, what do I think? If you want a very simple phone that is literally just a phone, this is perfect. The battery life is not bad. I've had it about a week now, and I get about 3 or 4 days standby out of it. And if you leave it switched off, I'm sure you could go a month or two without even needing to recharge it, because even when it's switched off, battery life still wears away. But yeah, if you want a phone that is literally just a phone, for the money, you're not going to get any better than that. It is literally something you can put in your purse or your wallet, the glove box of the car, and forget about it. You can buy a load of these for the price, like €6-7 each. Oh Jesus, that's hard to beat. Particularly, if you're sort of company that where people are, if even a corporate environment might find these useful. If you've got people always breaking their phones or whatever, for that kind of money, it's hard to beat. Like I say, there are some quirks with this phone. For example, the FM radio that's non-existent, and the fact that they've tried to put in functions like organizer and calendar and stuff like that with a screen that's way too small to be useful. But other than that, like I say, if you want a very small phone that just makes calls, you can't beat it. Honestly, I'm actually really impressed with this. And it would also be a very good first child's phone. Although I think in this day and age, if you were to give that to your child to say take that to school, they'd get beaten up, because all their friends would probably have iPhones or Samsung Galaxies or whatever else. So smart it isn't. So there you go. The M5 phone, available on eBay, Amazon, wherever good cheap Far Eastern phones are sold. Bye bye.